What's up, guys? Kyle here again, and today I'm feeling kind of blue. Because my guitar's blue! Today, we are checking out the PRS SE McCarty 594 single cut, and I'm a big lion doo-doo head because I'm actually super excited to check out this guitar here with you guys. Let's do it! Alright, hope you guys are doing great out there today. If this is your first time here at my channel, my name is Kyle, and what I do is I take all sorts of awesome high gain related guitar equipment and record it with a simple setup, and I give you the unprocessed audio on your end. So if you're into East End or thrash riffs, drop C hardcore riffs, and dudes that constantly have dark circles under their eyes, you're in the right place. Consider hitting the like button and subscribing on your way out so you don't miss any more of my stuff. Thanks! Alright guys, so today we are checking out what has honestly become one of my favorite guitars over the past couple of months. But with that being said, again, full transparency, PRS did send me this guitar for the purposes of checking it out with you guys here on the channel. I'm not being compensated for this video, but I am keeping the guitar in exchange for the video. So I just wanted to be clear about that, and you guys can feel free to take everything I say with a massive grain of salt, but as always, I'm gonna give you my honest thoughts and opinions. So keep that in mind. I interrupted my own thought process with that little bit, but basically I've already recorded this video twice, and both of those videos had technical errors, so third time's a charm. But long story short, Ted McCarty worked at Gibson. He's famous and known for basically all of the legendary Gibson shapes that we know and love. He was involved in them, the Explorer, the V, the SG, the Les Paul. And at one point in his career, once he moved on from Gibson, he actually worked with Paul from PRS and helped him develop the McCarty line. The McCarty line has been around for quite some time, but with this new McCarty SE line refresh, there's a bunch of new models available. They did what I needed PRS to do for a long time, which was they added two-piece bridges to, most importantly, the single cut model, but to a couple of their other models as well. I never really liked the wraparound bridges on the SE guitars before. They just didn't feel right to me. Under the hand feel on a guitar is very important for me. When I saw that they were releasing the new SE line, the 594s with these two-piece bridges, and I also think it's awesome they're the proprietary like PRS style bridge or not just a generic tune-o-matic. I immediately knew that I wanted to get some of these on the channel, so I'm actually really excited that PRS reached out to me and wanted to work with me, so it just kind of worked out, the timing lined up. But anyways, let's jump into the specs of this thing. I'm gonna tell you my honest thoughts about it, and we are going to hear some sounds through a few of my favorite amplifiers. So starting off with the body. The body material of this baby is mahogany, and as you can see on the back, we've got a really cool natural finish. This is a three-piece mahogany body. The top finish on this flame maple veneer is called Faded Blue, and I think it's actually incredibly eye-catching. At the time of filming this video, PRS has actually dropped the prices on these guitars and introduced a bunch of new finishes as well. So you have a whole bunch of different finishes to choose from of these, and they're all going for like $759 right now, which I can tell you right now is an insane deal. But the Faded Blue of the original finishes caught my eye pretty much immediately, and I think just about everybody else too, because everybody else that's done a review of this guitar has chosen this finish. Now, I did mention that the finish is over top of a maple veneer, but one thing that I think truly sets this guitar apart from a lot of the other import single cut style guitars is it actually has a full maple cap, which you can very, very clearly see here. You can see the difference in the tone of the wood between the super thick maple cap and the mahogany body underneath. Now, most single cut style guitars that come from import factories, they don't utilize a full maple cap. Only recently have they started doing that with a couple of other brands and models, but PRS SE from the start has utilized full maple caps, which is what drew me to them in the first place. And I'm actually gonna have a video coming up with some kind of surprising results comparing a guitar with a maple cap to one without a maple cap, with everything else being identical. And they are PRS guitars, so make sure you're subscribed for that. But yeah, to me, big selling point of the guitar, you're not gonna find that a lot on a lot of import guitars. It costs more for them to manufacture them this way, and is also more labor intensive on top of different materials and stuff, so just think that that is something that definitely sells this guitar for me personally. As for the layout of the body, first off, this thing is a chunky boy. At certain parts of this guitar, it's actually thicker than a traditional Les Paul. It is a very chunky guitar. I personally think that that's super cool, but it's also not ridiculous on the weight side of things. I'm pretty sure that this one is actually 8 pounds 5 ounces, which is not bad considering how thick the body and the neck are on this guitar. Now, as we move on to the actual layout of the guitar, we've got 4 controls here. We've got 2 volumes, 2 tones, kind of the traditional single cut layout, but we've also got the ability to either split or tap the coils. I can never remember the difference between the two, but if you guys want some single coil style tones, you can get that. That makes this guitar very versatile. Moving to the pickups that those controls are controlling. Words. We've got PRS own 5815 LTS pickups. Now, the 5815 LTS pickups are essentially their take on the PAF style pickup, and the LT, I believe it's the S series, denotes that these are actually imported. So this is PRS's flavor. This is their recipe. These are supposed to technically be identical to the ones that come in the USA guitars. They're just made overseas with the rest of the guitar. And I can honestly tell you, there's nothing about these pickups that sounds like they are of subpar quality. They sound excellent. There's a lot of clarity. I like the voicing a lot overall. They're a little bit more mid-forward than most PAF style pickups that I have played or owned over the years, but I think that gives them kind of a unique voice. And then again, moving to one of the main things that drew my attention to this guitar in the first place, we've got this PRS proprietary 2-piece bridge. We've got the brass posts on both the stop bar tailpiece and on the actual bridge, as well as brass saddles. Now, say what you want about tone wood, but the metals that the strings are directly connected to definitely does make a difference in tone. So I thought that it was really cool that they included brass on this bridge and tailpiece, because those are obviously more expensive than your alloy pot metals that most of these bridges are made out of. And then of course up here we've got 3-way switch. And as far as the shape or the ergonomics of the guitar, the cutaway is really pretty deep here, honestly. And I also like that it has a little bit of a bevel to it as well. But what I really like about this guitar, on the back, not only do we have a nice tummy cut here, which feels good, especially if you play somewhat higher, if your guitar digs into your ribs at all. That beveled cut here is gonna feel nice. And also the back of the guitar is pretty significantly rounded on the edges. So it's just a really nice feeling guitar, man.
Feels good. Press it up against yourself. You don't like it.
But not this one, because this one's mine and I've already soiled it in many ways. So moving on to the neck of this guitar, we have a 3-piece mahogany neck. And as far as a fretboard wood on the other side, we have rosewood. And on all 3 of these guitars that I currently have here, the rosewood is nice and dense. It's got a nice tight grain to it. It doesn't feel like rough like some of the other import guitars that utilize rosewood does. It's just a really nice feeling fretboard, very smooth. I'm not sure of the exact size of the frets, but they are definitely at minimum a regular jumbo. But they are well polished. They feel really good under the fingers, very nice when you're sliding and stuff, and the fretwork on this guitar is very good. It played really well right out of the box. And adorning that rosewood fretboard, we've got the traditional PRS bird inlays. And for our fretboard markers on the side, we've just got our black dots on our cream binding here. I will say the neck on this thing, the frets, very well done. Winter is in full effect here in Erie, so my heater is on, drying all my guitars out. And honestly, now that this thing has definitely been exposed to the heat, the fret edges on this thing feel really nice. So, and moving on to the nut on this guitar, this is really interesting. This is apparently some sort of synthetic bronze. It's a bronze powder blend. Never heard of that being used as a nut material before. If you guys have, let me know down in the comments, because I am definitely not familiar with it. But I don't really have anything to say about it other than it seems to keep the guitar in tune. It seems to be cut well from the factory. I've not had any tuning issues with this guitar, so seems to be doing the job just fine, and I typically hammer on my strings, so if the nut is not cut well and those strings get bound up, I definitely have a way of working them loose with my hard picking hand. And then finally up to the top, we've got the natural gloss finished headstock on the front here, and then on the back, we've got these kind of like vintage Kluson style tuners, and I will honestly say they're probably the weakest point of the entire guitar for me. They're a little crunchy feeling. It feels like there's a little bit of play in there, and it's probably one of the only parts of the guitar that I feel that to get the best experience out of this thing, I would like to personally change out. And they seem to be that way across the multiple guitars that I currently have here. So I think that the tuners might be an area where they cut costs a little bit, and upgrading to something a little smoother and maybe a locking tuner is something I personally would do, but they still do the job and the guitar stays in tune, so not a huge deal. Now, real quick, before we get into the sound samples, what makes this guitar really cool and unique is that 594. That is not just some sort of weird model number, that is actually the scale length of the guitar. A lot of people don't know this. The original Les Paul didn't actually have a 24 3/4 inch scale. When it was measured, it was actually 24.594 inches. That's where the 594 comes from. PRS has decided to put that .594 scale length on this guitar, which honestly there is a noticeable difference in feel, especially in the palm mutes. If you're a belligerent amateur chug machine like myself, you play poorly and you just hammer on those strings, you're hitting a lot of palm mutes. The palm mutes on this guitar feel extra chunky due to that shorter scale. And another cool thing about this guitar is the radius is a 10-inch radius, I believe. And when it comes to PRS, their radius tend to be a little bit flat on the fretboards. This one has a little bit more of a traditional roundness to it that I'm used to. It's not something that I typically pay attention to on most guitars because I'm not really picky, but some PRS guitars feel really, really flat. This one feels a little bit more at home for me as somebody who plays a lot of Gibson and a lot of ESP guitars, and I'm definitely a fan. The neck on this thing is chunky, so in all honesty, it feels very much like I'm playing just a slightly updated LP style guitar, and I'm here for it, man. This thing really, really makes me happy every time I plug into it. If I missed anything and you guys have any questions about the specs, let me know down below in the comments, and I will do my best to get back to you guys and answer them. But it's time to hear how this guitar sounds, because all those specs and things can sound nice on paper and look nice on camera, which it very, very much does look incredibly nice on camera. I've been staring at it this whole time I've been talking to you, trying to keep my train of thought. None of that matters if the guitar sounds like doo-doo. So let's check this thing out on a couple of awesome amplifiers. All right, guys, so for this little playthrough portion, we have a few different affordable tube amplifiers here. I figured since this is a very affordable guitar, we would check it out through some affordable amplifiers, since most people who are going to be purchasing a guitar like this are probably not going to be playing through $4,000 boutique amps. So for the intro clip you heard in the beginning of this video, I was playing through the EVH Iconic 5150. We also have the brand new PRS MT100 amplifier here, and to top it all off, we've got the new Blackstar HT Stage 100 Mark III. All of these amplifiers are going into an old Randall 212 CB cabinet with vintage 30 speakers. We've got an SM57 on those V30 speakers. You guys will hear no post-processing on any of these clips. So real quick, let's revisit our intro tone, and then we'll jump into a little bit of cleans just for those of you who like to play weak people music. And then we'll move into some high gain sound, since that's what we know you're really here for. Man, that 5150 Iconic sounds great. So first impressions when playing this guitar, like the palm mutes, I love the palm mutes on these guitars because the shorter the scale, usually the punchier the palm mutes are gonna feel. There's less tension on the strings depending on the gauge that you are playing, and therefore the string is able to kind of vibrate and move a little bit more, and it just leads to a very punchy sounding and feeling palm mute. And as a metal player, I absolutely love that. These pickups, man, these pickups are no slouch. They do not lack in clarity. They have a very nice voicing. They're not microphonic. For a guitar under the $1,000 price point, I mean, these pickups sound incredible. They're not aimed at the metal guitarist because they're a lower output PAF style pickup, but even so, if you've got a high gain amp like anything that you see here on this stack, the amp is gonna do all the heavy lifting as far as the gain goes, and these pickups are gonna provide clarity, they're gonna provide mids, and they're gonna allow you to cut through the mix. They're very nice sounding pickups for the price, honestly. I'm more than impressed with them. Let's play one more high gain riff on this Iconic, and then we'll check out the cleans over on the MT100. Dude, this thing just feels so nice to play. I'm in love with this guitar. I really, really do enjoy playing this thing. So let's check out those cleans, which is sure to destroy any enjoyment that I'm about to get out of this thing. Starting with the bridge pickup. That's enough of that. On to the high gain tones on the MT100. Alright guys, so these pickups have a very vocal mid-range, very throaty sounding, lots of buzzwords we're going to work in there, but for real, they are definitely more of a mid-forward pickup than I'm used to from a lot of other PAF style pickups, and therefore you get a lot of mids out of them, and therefore I think that they're going to sit in a mix really, really nicely, but they are a little bit round on this particular amplifier. So let's go ahead, let's kick in an MXR M77 overdrive, and let's see if we can kind of get a little bit more bite out of these things, a little bit more tightness. guys, so as you can hear, a little bit rounder there, still nice and punchy, especially with that overdrive. As long as you're a fan of mids from your pickups, you're probably gonna like these because they do not lack clarity. They are nice and tight. Not as tight as something maybe a little bit more modern, but overall, especially with the overdrive pushing the front end of the amp, man, these things are punching. All right, last but not least, let's hear a couple sounds through the Black Star. We'll call it a day. As soon as I get this thing into tune, it stays there, so. Alright guys, that's gonna do it for me today on the PRS SE McCarty 594 single cut. What did you guys think about this guitar? Is this something that you can see yourself picking up for under $1,000? Do you think the price and the specs line up? Do you think it punches above its weight? Do you think it punches below its weight? Whatever it is, let me know down in the comments of this video. I'll be sure to meet you guys down there to chat about it. And of course, if you guys want to pick one of these up, I will link down below in the comments and in the description of this video via either Sweetwater or Zounds. Those will be affiliate links. So if you do decide to purchase the guitar, clicking those links goes a long way in helping the channel. Really hope that you guys enjoyed this video and enjoyed this demo. I know I did. I love this guitar. You're gonna be seeing it coming up a lot more on the channel here in the near future. If you liked the video, hit that like button. Subscribe on the way out if you haven't subscribed already so you don't miss any more belligerent amateur goodness. Kyle here again. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.
You know what this wall is missing? Another amp. There we go.